What if we took some of the best rye whiskey on the market, and instead of releasing it on its own, we traveled around the world, from South America to Spain, from Greece to India, and we finished that rye whiskey in the most interesting barrels that we could find. We put it all into an annual release, each one meaningfully different from the last, and we created the Boss Hog. Welcome back to Cask and Points. Today we're going to be talking about WhistlePig's Boss Hog, which is an annual release, as I said, that every single year is meaningfully different from the last. We've had all these crazy things. This last release was the Juggernaut, and it was Indian barrels. We had the Siren Song Edition 9 that has Greek Fig barrels. We have Teakwood. We have all these crazy things, and today we're going to be trying 4 of those releases, and I'm really excited to try them here with you guys today. This is all part of a grand series that I have where I'm slowly trying to discover the greatest rye whiskeys on the market, both of all time, which I know will take a lot of work, and also ones that are a little bit more findable on the market today. While these aren't the easiest bottles to find, they actually do still sit on a lot of shelves. And so today I want to try 4 different editions of WhistlePig's Boss Hog and just see what it's all about. Now, I have been down the rabbit hole for you all. I have really learned a lot of the intricacies of a lot of these different releases, and I'd just like to say that we are going to have a lot of tangents here today. I have a lot of information in my head that I want to get out, that I want to talk about with you guys, because man, these WhistlePigs are so interesting. Because like I said, we have 11 editions, they're all different, and while the first one was finished in like some weird things that it's not really reported, it's actually a bit hard to find out, after that we have all these crazy things. We have Scotch finishes, we have Calvados finishes, we have Armagnac finishes, we have all these different finishes, we have mixed finishes with 2 different barrels, 3 different barrels, 4 different barrels. I mean, we have so much going on in this WhistlePig world. But honestly, I really want to sit down and figure out if this is all worth it, because the Juggernaut, the most recent release, has a $600 MSRP, and it's not like it was much cheaper back then. This Black Prince was the 4th edition of WhistlePig. This was in 2017, and that had an MSRP of $500, so it's been expensive for a long time. Before that, it was actually a good bit cheaper. Edition 3 was $300, and the first 2 were a good bit cheaper than that, but we're looking at some serious money here, and the fact that on the secondary market, this Black Prince is trading for over $1,000, closer to $1,200. The Spirit of Mauve, the 5th edition, is trading closer to like $800, so actually significantly cheaper for the edition right after it. I just want to discover what's worth it. Are any of these worth it? Are any of these going to be interesting enough? Are any of these truly and worthy the title of the greatest whiskey of all time? Let's get right into it and find out. So we have 4 editions here today. We have edition 9, 7, 5, and 4. Now let's start off with edition 9. This is known as Siren Song, and this is Greece themed. So it's going to have Greek Fig Nectar barrels, which I'm not even sure why they age fig, but apparently they have barrels that age some fig nectar in them. And then they also have Tentora, which is a Greek liqueur that's very like cinnamon and clove forward. So we have those 2 different barrels finishing this whiskey. That is Siren's Song. Next up, we have edition 7. This is Magellan's Atlantic. This is 107.8 proof. It ranges between 105 and 107. And this is going to be Spanish oak and then South American Teakwood. So 2 really interesting oak finishes there. We're going to find out if that's any good. We then have the Spirit of Mauve. This is edition 5, the 2018 release, and this is a Calvados finish, so an apple brandy finish. And then finally, we have the Black Prince. This is an Armagnac finish, and this is one of the most popular Boss Hogs that exist. And so I'm really excited here today. And the most interesting part about it all is actually these 2 are MGP ryes. So up through edition 5, so edition 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, they all used MGP rye whiskey as the base. They then switched over to Alberta rye, which is a Canadian rye whiskey, and so 6 to 11 are all Alberta ryes. So today I want to find out if there's really that big of a difference between them, because I always just wrote off Boss Hog as some Canadian garbage, and it seems like, at least recently, it was Canadian garbage, but these first 5 editions actually weren't. They were actually MGP rye whiskey, and that's a lot more interesting, because 14-year MGP rye whiskey in 2017 with Black Prince here was distilled in 2003. This 13-year in 2018 was distilled in 2005. And MGP rye whiskey at cask strength distilled in the early 2000s, that's interesting. Okay, that's a lot of talking. Let's start off with some Siren Song. Okay. I am getting that Greek liqueur all over. There's actually a really nice Greek restaurant in my city called Cuisina, and usually when you're there for dinner, at least once throughout the dinner, they run around handing out this liqueur and you could take a shot of it for free. And so I'm actually very familiar with this exact liqueur. And like I said, yeah, that cinnamon and clove just totally jumping to the forefront here. Now this exact bottle is 102.5 proof, and actually this release only ranges between 102.3 and 106.2. So we're looking at a pretty small range of proofs, and with edition 7 actually, like I said, there's only about a 2 proof range in that one. So looking at the low 100s here, and then when we move back to the Mauve and the Black Prince, those are going to be in the mid 110s, so those will be interesting to see if there's that much of a difference there. But a ton of fig on this as well. And it's actually a sweet fig, so it's interesting because I do talk about the fig note a lot in my whiskeys, but it's typically like a really rich fig note on it. I guess this is a nice reminder. I mean, this is what fig tastes like. My grandfather has a fig tree at his house, and so I've actually grown up eating a lot of figs. I haven't had figs in a few years though, so maybe I need to go to him and try some figs again. But no, this is a very bright fig note to me. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of the fig. I'm definitely getting some rich oak in there. There is some heat on this one. Definitely smelling a lot proofier than 102, but honestly, it's just really interesting. I mean, I really get the fig. I really get that tempura liqueur on it, so this is interesting. Let's take a sip. Wow. Okay. That's an odd balance. So I get a lot of the fig. I get a lot of the tempura. I get grease on that one, and that's actually really fun. Now, I do have to look at this partially through the lens that this is a bottle that has like a $600 MSRP. When I look at it through that, I'm not that happy. just have to go out and say that one pretty tough to spend the money on that. $600 is a lot of money to spend, and I'm really curious if any of these are going to be worth anywhere close to that $500-600 mark. But this is really interesting. And I like interesting. And I'll be honest, you know, the Cooper series from Penelope is actually something really similar to this, where they did obviously Penelope Rio, they did Havana, and they're going down and they're getting Cuban barrels, and they're getting like the Spanish orange wine barrels, the Vino de Naranja. They're getting Rio, like super sweet honey barrels and whatnot. And those are a lot of fun. My problem with that is that they're using a 3 to 4 year MGP bourbon base whiskey, and sometimes they're even proofing that down to like 90 proof, and they are not good releases to me. So when I found out that Boss Hog was actually doing something really similar, but they're looking at much older whiskeys, yes, the price point is pretty bad. I was very interested, and I'll be honest, I mean, this is a total step up on that kind of stuff for me. This is actually really nice and really pleasant, and because there was so much to talk about in each individual release, I decided not to do this as a blind. I also kind of figured, I mean, this kind of just smells like figs, so I didn't think it would be that hard to determine what was what from the blind, but I don't know if that was the case. I mean, I actually have the bottle of Black Prince, and I actually have a bottle of the Spirit of Mauve. However, somebody actually sent me the sample of Spirit of Mauve before I got the bottle, so I figured I'll just enjoy the sample for now, and then we'll keep the bottle for later. But a quick shout out to Marcos, who sent me the Siren Song. A good buddy of mine named Static, or Pablo, he sent me the 7th of Magellan's Atlantic, and then 5 was sent to me by a good buddy of mine named Vinay. So these are all Patreon guys, and really, really appreciate them not only supporting the channel for the Patreon, but also sending me these samples, because really exciting to get to try these things. Let's take a second sip of this. Yeah, a lot of the notes that I get on the nose really come through to the palate here. I think it starts off with that fig, that really sweet, nice fig on it. And then it just gets into the cinnamon. And then some real cloves come out towards the mid-late palate here. There is some oak on it. There's some vanilla. There is a good amount of richness on this. But I'll be honest, it is drinking closer to 105 proof, that 102 proof, whatever it is. And it's good. And it's really unique. I mean, that is winning all the points in the world on uniqueness. I mean, I've never had anything like that. Is it amazing? I struggle to say it's amazing. I think we are in the 8s. I don't think we're in the 9s. I don't think this is something that I could go out and say is super worth it. It's the kind of thing that, man, was that so much fun to try once. And I have a feeling a lot of these Boss Hogs might be like that, where they're not really releases to buy bottles of, but honestly, if you have the money, sure, buy the bottles of them. But really, if you could just try every year's release, it might be worth it. But okay, we're going to move on. We will go back and rank and rate these, but let's go on to the Magellan's Atlantic. So like I said, this is going to be a Spanish oak and then a South American teakwood. And I'm not too familiar with teakwood, but to my understanding, it's just a kind of wood in South America. And when I did a little more research on it, apparently it's also pretty similar to like Asiatic wood. So take that for whatever you will. Okay, very oaky. That is interesting. Definitely also getting a ton of cinnamon on this one, a good amount of nutmeg on this one. The oak is definitely different. It's a bit citrusy, which is interesting. It is hot. I mean, this is 107.8 proof, so it's actually technically the highest proof that this release exists. But again, we're looking at like a 2 proof difference. And even for the older ones where the range of proof is actually much bigger, because Black Prince can go from like 111 to 120 is what I've seen. I've heard that the releases just don't really make a big difference. And I've tried 114 and 120 proof Black Prince, and they weren't really that different. So proof doesn't really matter here. It's just interesting that it is about 107. Oh yeah, super rich oakiness on this. And citrus and nutmeg. Okay, this is pretty good. Let's take a sip. Okay. It's oaky. It's interesting. It's a little bit flat. It's less interesting than I think our weird Greek Fig and Tentora liqueur was. And I'll be honest, actually, I don't actually like that liqueur that much. I guess I didn't mention that while drinking it. But actually, the liqueur is like really, really potent. And it's just super clove forward. And I don't love it. But whatever they did on that one, it's a much better one. And I guess because I'm getting the shots for free at that restaurant, they probably aren't giving me very high quality of that kind of shot. But anyways, much more unique on the Siren Song. I think I liked it a good bit more. This oakiness is reminiscent of like Mizurana wood, which is a Japanese oak. It's pretty unique. It's less unique. And when I'm looking at oak and citrus and almost like a little bit of almost lavender on it, it's less interesting to me than that last release. I'm getting that funky wood. I could totally see what they're looking at with that kind of Spanish wood and that kind of, like I said, South American teakwood. So really interesting here. And I guess, Magellan's Atlantic, obviously a very cool name on it. Atlantic Ocean, Magellan, oh, really, really cool. I love the naming system. I love the marketing on these. I mean, look, the Cooper series from Penelope, they also have great marketing. I mean, they show you the nice blue Rio on the bottle. And these guys, I mean, dude, they have these really cool toppers. And people actually collect those toppers after they finish the bottles. Like, I know when that bottle's dead, I'm definitely keeping that topper, like, forever. Like, I'm going to have that topper for a long time. So, really cool stuff here. Great collector's items. Great stories behind them. But is the whiskey that good? I did like that for its uniqueness. I like this one a little bit less. Let's take a second sip. There's almost like a slight chalky note on it that's really not pleasant at all. It's actually almost kind of crafty to me. And this could be because, I mean, this is edition 7. They started using the Alberta rye in like edition 6. I think that Canadian rye is actually coming out a lot more than I would expect it to. Like, it didn't really come out almost at all on edition 9, but edition 7, maybe the finish was just not as long. I'm getting almost a little bit of a crafty note to it. And I know these two actually don't have age statements on them. They're just known as well-aged ryes. People speculate they're somewhere between 15 and 20 years old. So, I mean, we just have absolutely no idea. It is Canadian, so the age statement doesn't really mean as much. I mean, we've had 30-year Canadian whiskey on this channel, and it hasn't been nearly as good as a lot of like 8-year bourbon. So, just because it's like 25 years, I guess it just doesn't mean that much. But we're not even given an age on them, which is interesting. Yeah, okay, I don't love that as much. There is that slight bit of chalkiness, but I will say, I mean, it has a unique oak richness to it that I get nothing like I've ever had before. And that's the most fun part about it, is that it's really like I've never had anything like it. But do I love it? I think I like the first one more because that fig was just so interesting. But let's go on to glass number 3. So this is going to be the Spirit of Mauve here. Now, I have a bottle. This is actually 120.2 proof. So I believe this is actually the highest or one of the highest proofs that this release gets up to. I think the average of the Mauve is slightly lower than Black Prince, although the Black Prince we're trying is 114 and the Mauve we're trying is 115, although I have a bottle that's 120. So they're around the same. Like I said, this is a Calvados finish, so a good old like apple brandy finish here. Same thing as the Joseph Magnus special release number 4 that a lot of people were going crazy for last year. That was also a Calvados finish. Oh, this is interesting. I'm definitely getting the apple brandy all over it. I will note though, is it jumping out as super worth, $700, $800, $900, $500 back in 2018? Yeah, and obviously this is the 2020 release. This is going to be the 2022 release. So, for those counting. Okay. Getting a ton of apple, ton of cinnamon on this. There is a deeper oakiness to this, like a richer oak to this. Now this is 13 years old and this is MGP. So we're back in the States and we're at a pretty well-known distillery, I'd say. We drink a lot of MGP on this channel, although rarely above 12 years old. So this is interesting. Let's take a sip. Okay. It's actually really nice. It is nice. Super apple brandy forward. But also, it's kind of simple like the other ones. Like I get all the apple brandy on it. It's really interesting. It's really unique. Not really blowing me away. This is better than the Magellan's Atlantic. I think the Magellan's Atlantic is probably my least favorite of the day. I am not that impressed. I think these are really interesting finishes. I think these, like, you want to do all this marketing, you want to put these cool toppers on it, you want to charge me $200 and fine, I'll pay the $200, but not looking at $1,000 pours on this one. Because it's good. It's good. It's still really good. But it's not insane. And I'll be honest, I mean, a lot of these flavor notes are going to be things that I'm less familiar with. So, you know, we try a classic MGP rye, and I can name all the creamy notes, all the fruity notes, all these typical things, because, you know, that's more to my style. But I haven't had that many Calvados finishes. I haven't had that many South American Teakwood finishes. And so they're more unique to me. They're more interesting to me, but let's take another sip. This is weird because I am drinking a really nice rye. You know, like, there is a real nice rich oakiness to it. There is literally like maple on it. Tons of spices on that one. Like you get the, like an allspice note on it. You get some really nice cinnamon, some nutmeg on it. You get a little bit of like green apple. You get a little bit of red apple. You get a little bit of pear on that one as well. Like you get some real nice notes. And those notes, they're pleasant. But is it worth $500? No. Okay, so I think right now, I think the Siren Song is probably the most unique. And then I think the Mauve is going to be pretty close. But anyways, let's go on to the Black Prince. Now the Black Prince, this is also MGP. This is 14 years old, and 14 years is as old as any of the Boss Hogs are. So the earlier editions, some of them are 13, 14 years old. The first one was 12 and 3/4 years, so 12 years and 9 months. And that one actually sells for $8,000 on the secondary market. It was a much smaller release. Obviously, it was released back in 2014, 2015, so very hard to come by. And look, some people want to complete their sets of this because you know what? They are really unique and you're not getting these kinds of unique finishes on this kind of quality very often. I think it's still overpriced, but I think if you have all the money in the world and you want some interesting finishes, I understand why the people that go into Boss Hog really, really spend a lot of time with Boss Hog. But let's go on to Black Prince. On the nose, just shooting out with a ton of rye candy on this. That sugarcane sweetness. And wow, this is a lot more rye forward. Definitely getting, you know, the coconut on it, the sugarcane on it. Definitely going to get a ton of vanilla on this, a nice oakiness on this. I don't know, there is like almost a gingerbread note on it, like a graham cracker sweetness on it. And there's also just like a real nice sugar note on it. It's really, okay, this one's nice on the nose. It's actually a little bit less unique. I think some of these other ones might actually win out on uniqueness. This is interesting. Let's take a sip. Okay. Okay. So, I've had Black Prince before, and I haven't had these other three. And I was hoping these other three would come close, and they don't. They don't at all. Black Prince is phenomenal. Everything else is okay. And look, I mean, I'm just looking at the color of these bottles, and I'm not sure if you guys can tell in the videos, but the color on this one is actually pretty light for something that I would think is this high quality. The color on this one's actually surprisingly dark. So, you know what? I don't understand. I don't get it. But Black Prince is amazing. I mean, it's just super robust on it. So, I mean, its uniqueness is coming from that like gingerbread sugar, you know, that kind of cookie dough note on it that's super unique. But you also just have this backbone of an incredible rye candy, an incredible oak presence to it. Oh, that is one of the best ryes of all time. These other three, less good. I had higher hopes. I'm kind of sad on these other three because I was hoping at least the Mauve would be close, because the Mauve is like $300 to $400 cheaper on the secondary market. I mean, if you want to go on unicorn auctions, you can find a lot of this stuff. And like I said, this one is going to be like $1,200. Like this one's consistently around $1,200. This one is going to be closer to like $800. And for that significant of a difference for, you know, twin releases, I mean, the 4 and 5, they're both MGP, they're similar ages. I mean, Armagnac, Calvados, brandy, I mean, yeah, they're different. They're not like the most different thing in the world. They're not like, you know, the Greek Fig versus Spanish Teakwood, which are so much more different than each other. Like, I had high hopes, but Black Prince is amazing. Let's take a second sip. Oh my God. I am in love with that rye. It's so much more full-bodied. Its finish is medium to long length. Super sweet. It is worth $500. It is not worth $1,200. To be clear, it is probably my favorite rye of all time. I think it's easily beating so many of the amazing ryes that I've had. I still don't think it's going to be something that I think is well worth $1,200, because I don't think really anything is worth $1,200. But it's also really, really, really good. And it's funny, if you look at the reviews online of these kinds of products, you look back on Black Prince specifically, because I've done the most research on Black Prince because it's the bottle that I own, and it's the first WhistlePig that I had tried, so I was really, really interested to see what it was like. And half the reviews say it's not worth it at all, and half the reviews say, you know what, if you could swing it, it's actually worth it. And to say that it's worth MSRP in 2017 when MSRP was $500 and B-Tax were like $100, man, you know you were in for a special treat. I think Black Prince is a pretty special treat. But okay, we've tried everything. I want to go back to a few things here. We'll take some more notes on them. We'll give some ratings, some rankings here, but I think I have a pretty good idea of how this is going. Okay, so I'm going to start with what I think is my least favorite going into this. This is the Magellan's Atlantic here. Oh man, I mean, you know what? It's actually gotten a lot sweeter. You have that unique oakiness to it, and there's almost like this real nice brown sugar sweetness. Oh, I mean, that's really pleasant. And it is nice. Molasses, brown sugar, vanilla on that nose that I wasn't really getting the first go around. It is still really hot. Like, it's still smelling way higher than 107 proof. But again, there's like this almost chalkiness on it that I don't understand. I'm assuming that's from the Canadian base, and they just couldn't totally get rid of it with that finish. But that's what's holding it back from greatness, because if it didn't have that, this actually really could be one of my favorites. Let's take a sip. It's really nice. It is really nice. On the palate, that brown sugar is coming out a little bit more than I was getting on the first time. It's still super citrusy. And just have like that little bit of chalkiness on it that I don't love. And I think that's the Canadian rye on it. It's really holding it back, but I think the Teakwood is interesting. I think the Spanish oak is interesting. I think, again, if you have the money and you want some of the best unique finishes every single year, I think WhistlePig is interesting for you. But I don't think this is great for average consumers. I actually see edition 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 all the time in stores for around MSRP just sitting there, and I think there's a good reason why. I think once you get back to edition 5, you start getting a little bit of secondary, $700, $800, $900. And so I think this one doesn't really sit on shelves anymore. It's also, you know, was released in 2018, so it's been a while. But that one is interesting. Sorry, Pablo. I'm sorry. I just... my very, very good buddy of mine that sent me this. And I think he actually got it back then. Like, I think his dad bought it like years and years ago, and they cracked it recently, and it's interesting, man. It's interesting, but it's that chalkiness that's really holding it back from greatness. Okay, I will finish this off with you guys. It's still really nice. And you know, it does have a little bit of that gingerbread on it. Okay, I like it. I'm going to go ahead and rate it an 8.3. I think it's still a very solid spirit. I think if it was $200, I'd actually be quite happy with it. I think if it was $300, I'd start really saying no. I think at $500, $600, I'm kind of just out on it, if I'm being honest. I still think it's interesting. I still think it's unique. I think it's the kind of thing that, like, I'm really, really glad I got to try once with you guys, and I'll talk about it, and it's really such a fun profile to try. But it's not something that I would drink every day, and it's not something that I think is worth the money. It's really good. Okay. Let's go back to Siren Song. Oh man. Over time, that liqueur, the Tentura liqueur, got much stronger. It's cinnamon and clove. Man, that shot that we take at that restaurant, again, it's called Cuisina. I think it's somewhat regional. I have seen a few locations in this area though, so I know it's not just that one restaurant in my hometown. It just smells like that liqueur. That liqueur is strong. It's strong, it's potent. It's like almost like a anise on it that I'm getting, like a black licorice on it. But again, like also a lot of cinnamon and clove and stuff like that. But that black licorice is so unique. And there's still some of that fig, and I'm liking the fig more. All right? I really love fig. Okay, let's take a sip. So unique and interesting. And it really, I think the finish is so much stronger that it's getting by all that Alberta rye weakness on it, all that like crafty, whatever chalkiness that I got off 7. I think 9 really solves back for that. That's really nice. I mean, that's so nice. It's not worth $500, but if you were to buy between 7 and 9, buy 9. It's actually pretty interesting. I don't know if anybody like, I think the MSRP was $600, so maybe you could find it at $500. I don't know. It's still not worth $500 or that close to it. If you love that liqueur, like you absolutely love that liqueur, and for some reason you want it on your whiskey, get it. But honestly, I'm not really getting that many whiskey flavors on this one. Like there isn't like this potent, caramel and red fruit. And no, this is Greek Centaur liqueur. This is Fig Nectar. This is pretty good. I'll take a little bit more here. It's nice. It's nice. Not super robust. Not a long finish at all. I'm going to say it's an 8.5. I think it is good. I think for like $300, we're in business. We're in business at $300, all right? I'm not loving the business, but we are in business. But a good bit better than the Teakwood. Still not worth $600. Let's go back to the Mauve. Mauve? I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. And definitely did also get sweeter on the nose. Pure apple brandy goodness with all that like apple cider, red apple, green apple, pear kind of note on it, mixed with so much cinnamon and nutmeg and that kind of stuff on it. It's really nice. Let's take a sip. It's good. It is more robust than these two. It's less unique than at least edition 9. So actually, this is where it starts getting into the real judgment. Because I'm looking at a spirit that I would actually say, I think this is just higher quality. I think this is just a more robust, more well-rounded, more full-bodied pour than I think Edition 9 is. I think Edition 9 is so much more unique. I think Edition 9, like, I tried that, I'm like, what was that? That is so interesting. This is much more classic to me. And so when we think about how much uniqueness is weighted in the rating system, I tend to be a big fan of uniqueness. I think I value uniqueness more than a lot of others because I think, when you have a whiskey collection of 100, 200, 300, 1,000 bottles, what you're actually looking to grab on a given day is going to be something that's unique. It's going to be something that's really giving you a certain note that you really love. And I think it really sells people. I know Cam from Drums and Drams, he actually dropped a River Roots called Ghost Note Glen, barrel 180. And it was a 12-year MGP rye. And the only reason why he really picked that barrel over a lot of others was because there was a super unique note on it. I was almost like a vanilla custard, but it was like deeper, richer than that. Super unique note on it. Totally agree with him. And I think that is a great reason why you should pick a barrel, a great reason why you should own a bottle. And well, I think like even if a barrel is lacking in a lot of other things, I think when it has a unique note like that, it does so much for you. And that's where I think the uniqueness on that edition is just it's gonna win it out for me. It's gonna just be a better pour of whiskey for me. And you know what? I will take this last little bit here. It's really good, but it hurts me. It hurts me because I'm looking at more full body, more well-rounded. But you know what? I just have more fun with this. I'm gonna rate that an 8.4, and I'm gonna drop this one. You know, it is an 8.3. I'm gonna up this to an 8.6 and say that this is an 8.5. I think that's fair. I think it's a really robust pour. No, you know what? 8.4, 8.6, 8.3. Yeah, you know what? That's what I'm doing. I think it's that much better Because I go back to it and I'm like, that's so fun. That's so fun. It's not as robust, but it's so much more fun. And you know what? When we're looking at some of the best whiskeys on the market, we also are looking at what's interesting, what's unique, what's different from the things we're having. That really hits the spot for me. It's okay if it's a hot take. Let's go on to Black Prince. It's better than everything we have here. It's so much better. It has that full bodiness that I got on edition 5, but then it's so much more unique because it has that like gingerbread, cookie dough, sugary note on it. That's an amazing rye whiskey. That is an amazing rye whiskey. It's almost making me think like I'm in the 9s for this one. So we're serious. I mean, this is one of the best ryes I own. It is the best rye. I mean, honestly, it might be the best rye I've ever had. Like, this is one that I have to go get Booker's Rye again. I have to, like, check out, like, you know, Xmas Rye, the Christmas Rye of, like, Wild Turkey from the 1990s. Like, I want to throw up the best ryes that I could find against Black Prince because I want to see who truly is the king. Because this is amazing. And it's so much better than Edition 5. I'm sad about Edition 5. I had so much higher hopes for that one. I don't know how that works. I don't know. I mean, I guess, you know, they just used better barrels for this, and this just got whatever was left, and then they finished it for longer, gave it a much better color on it. I mean, that topper is awesome. Awesome topper on it. But, the bottle is, I don't know. Let's finish off this Black Prince here. It's awesome. That's awesome. That's one that I really struggled to find the flaws with. I'm going to rate that a 9.2. It's the best rye I've ever had. I think I'm really excited to try it against a bunch of other ryes to see just how well it does. But that is an all-timer for me. I was really hoping we'd find something else that was an all-timer here. I think it has that full bodiness and the uniqueness in a way that this has the full bodiness. This has some full bodiness and some uniqueness. This has all the uniqueness. This has all the uniqueness and all the full bodiness. So that one wins by far. Keep going back to this Mauve because I want to be convinced that it's good, but no, I think my second favorite here is really this weird Greek thing. Such an odd pour. But okay, that's the review. I hope you guys all had fun. I had so much fun. Like I said, I mean, I could really talk about these whiskeys for a long time. I've done so much research on these whiskeys in the last few months. Man, I've gone down the rabbit hole. I'm excited I got to try these all with you guys today. But anyways, you guys all had fun. Thank you so much again to Marcos, to Vinay, to Pablo. Thank you guys so much for sharing these samples with me. This was a lot of fun. Hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. And I'll catch you all in the next one.